What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another video. So, today I just want to talk about the greatest movie experience I've ever had, which actually just happened like 15 minutes ago. So, some of you might know I moved to a new location. It's pretty cool. And there's a movie theater right across the street. So, I figured, you know what, why not break her in? Let's just, hop into it. So, I went to go see Night House. It was the first movie I was seeing in a city. I'd never been to a movie theater in a city before, so I didn't know what to expect. And trust me when I tell you, my expectations were blown out of the water. So I bought the ticket online. When you choose your seat and you do the thing. And so, anyways, I feel like this always happens when I do that. But I went to go to the movie. I went to go find my seat, and this this guy and someone in his family, I forgot who it was, were sitting next to each other, in the seat next to mine. So I was like, you know what? They're having a nice little family moment. I'm just gonna go to the row in front, and maybe I'm still in somebody else's seat, maybe I'm not. I'll figure it out when it comes along. And I got hit with instant karma. Hold on, let me. So I sit there. Next 5 chairs next to me are open, and I see a family of 3 get up, and they're looking around. They're like, "Oh, I don't think this is the right seat." I wasn't sitting in their chair, but they were just looking around, and I was like, "Please don't let it be the 3 seats that are next to me between this other couple at the end of the aisle." But of course it was. So it was one sister, a mother, and then another sister, and then me. And I'm at the very end of the aisle. And so I'm sitting there, and it's important to note that we're in the recliner chairs, because it's an AMC theater. So I'm posted up like this. And I'm like, "Oh, yep, you guys can go through. Don't worry about it." Moving my feet out of the way so that they have plenty of room. And they're sitting, and it's fine. We're having, we're just watching the previews together. Except I have an 11-year-old sitting to my right, and I see she pulls out her drink. She's got a drink, and she's got a pudding cup. I was like, that's an odd choice to bring to the movie. She brought her own spoon and everything. She puts her recliner up. It makes a sound. That's also important to know. It makes a sound when you do that. Kicks her feet off. Kicks them right off the edge of the thing. Who cares? Anyway. And that's when I was like, maybe I should move. Maybe I will. But let me just wait until the movie starts to see if it's really this bad. And immediately she gets comfortable, and she starts going to town on this pudding cup. Finishes it in world record pace. And how did I know when she was done? Because she took it. There was a little tray that in front of us. She puts the thing on a tray, flicks it off, posts back up like this. I was like, damn, she's a boss lady. I've got this really bad habit of not being able to hold in laughter. And from the second I sat down, I was like, oh, I'm thinking about making a review video of this movie. Let me just take mental notes. And all of the notes that came into my head were of all the things that this girl was doing that were making me almost laugh. And then I was thinking, I have to move. So I'm thinking about it. And I realized I'm still posted up like this, that I would have to and then grab my belongings and go. And something about it reminded me of that one scene in in Dance Moms when Abby Lee Miller is in a wheelchair. she puts the wheelchair in reverse and goes up the aisle and leaves the show. And she goes, "I'm going to Baskin Robbins." Yeah, so something about the thought of getting up in the middle of it and having like make that scene, I went, and that was the biggest mistake I could make. Because in that moment, I could feel her eyes burning on the side of my face. And in that, I was just like, because I felt it, I saw it in my periph, and I was like, okay, I can't move. And it was like the Wendigo from that movie, not from that movie, from that game, Until Dawn. So that was what it was like. And while this is happening, the movie is like very dark. It's about, it's like coping with losing a loved one to suicide and stuff like that. Something about it was just so funny to me. I don't know. And it's not over there, but I'll just get into the movie for a sec, and then I'll remind you of something else that happened after the movie ended. It almost played like a riddle. Rebecca Hall really did a good job acting. The whole thing is she's trying to like find a deeper meaning or try to get some glimpse of understanding of like who her husband was, because it turns out that he was keeping secrets and stuff like that. I think it does a really good job at addressing a problem that I don't think many people consider when it comes to like losing a loved one like that, which is not that I've ever experienced it, but just saying, is what I could imagine is just not having all the answers and then kind of accepting that you never will. And I think that's one of the high points and the low points of the movie, because I think it did a really good job of like building up a lot of questions that you're like, what does this mean? Why would he do this? And at the end of the movie, she kind of gets somewhat of the closure that she's looking for, which I don't necessarily agree with, because I feel, in my opinion, that in that kind of circumstance, you kind of wouldn't get all those answers that you were looking for. Does that make sense? Again, I don't want to get into like spoilers or anything like that, but if you haven't seen the movie, my interpretation of like the meaning of it is that it's hard to escape nothing when that's all that there is left. The main character loses her husband. She doesn't have any like kids or anything like that. And it sounded like the husband was like a support system for her, since she was dealing with like dark thoughts for like her whole life. And so now that she kind of like lost that, and she has like a friend in the movie who's she's like supportive, but it's a little bit something off-putting about it, like a little phony. And then she's got like a neighbor who was keeping secrets from her also, like about her husband, and like knew more than he was letting on. Anyway, something else I found a little bit off-putting was that they didn't really, I don't know, I can be wrong in saying this, but my point will get across anyway, so I'm just going to say it. They should have made it a one-woman show. It should have been about like her in this house that her husband built, like delusional, and, well, not delusional, but just like kind of like falling apart and hallucinating and seeing all these things. But the direction they took it in instead is like there's like a real like physical monster, or like the spiritual like force or monster, and it's like when it gets into like the voodoo and stuff like that, it kind of is like a little bit odd, and that's where it like lost me. And I'm sure the girl next to me was also kind of lost, because I heard her ask her mom what's going on, and I don't know, that was like one of the only things I found that were really like wrong with the movie, is that it's not even wrong, I guess it was like the vision, but it was cool. But the other thing I wanted to say was all this, dark, emotional stuff going on. Movie ends on like a little bit of, not really a cliffhanger, but more like, the issue's not necessarily solved. It cuts to black, credits start rolling, and then the girl next to me just lets out the biggest burp I ever heard in my entire life. That lasted like, it was long enough for my recliner to go, and I was able to get out of there, and I still was like hearing her burp next to me as I was leaving the theater. I'll give the movie 3 stars, but I'll give the experience 5 stars because it was just one of the funniest things I ever experienced, or one of the most awkward situations I've ever been in.
Also, this is preposterous. Subscribe. Okay, goodbye, guys. Thanks for watching.